you know as well as I do that this is a step-by-step process, and you have to do this, and then you have to do that, and then this and that. By operating a very transparent organization, you get to see everything that's going on. This is the same kind of system Alex Hermosi uses, to be totally honest. This is how Hermosi has scaled his business, how acquisition.com works. Big picture, the entrepreneur provides the visionary leadership, the motivation, and vision and motivation last for about 2 hours before your team hits their first problem. This is where the operator comes in, that second in command and that second layer of leadership, the emotional leadership. So just understanding yourself, your own personality, and how other personalities correspond to you.
Adam Liette is on a mission to help you scale your online business. He was a former director of operations for Musical U, a music education company that grew tremendously over the past 2 years, earning the Two Comma Club Award, an award to a company that earned over $1 million. He teaches entrepreneurs how to create the same system through his online service, Smooth Operations. Adam, did you have a passion for music? How did you get started with a music company?
Oh yeah, that's a good story. So thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. Yeah, I've been kind of a musician my whole life. So I was the kid who stole his dad's guitar at age 7 and like would drop picks in the sound hole and like get in trouble for it until dad finally figured out I should get me my own guitar. But I was always the music kid in high school, playing in rock bands, grew my hair long, if you can believe it or not, compared to what it is now. And after high school, went to college and actually got my degree in music. So I was supposed to be a high school band director. Life's funny. Instead of joining the professional career and teaching, I instead joined the Army because the war was going on and I wanted to get some. Fought in several wars. I was active duty Army for 12 years. Spent some time in the airborne infantry and then in special operations. Got hurt, and when I left the military, I had started freelancing already for marketing. I knew like what I wanted to do when I got out, and music was this great way of like reconnecting with myself before the Army. So it was like a really healing process to let go of all those years of war and to come back to the world, and it's inspired this whole journey now. So I'm very grateful for it, and it's a never-ending gift.
Well, thank you so much for your service. What type of skill set did you take away from the Army to implement into your daily life for productivity?
Oh man. So lots of things. The biggest thing is being able to have a real strategic vision. So realistically look at that 1 to 5 year time frame and be able to do goal setting and work backwards from those goals in a thorough but yet malleable way. So if your plan doesn't go exactly your way, you're able to adjust to it. Go figure, plans never last. We just have to adjust to them. The biggest thing though, I think, is just a pretty rigid mindset, like really tough mental clarity, a lot of flexibility, and being able to adjust and adapt to radically changing environments on the fly.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing. And when you moved away from Army life to civilian life, you took your position in this Musical U, in this music company. When you worked your way up to director of operations, what was it like transitioning?
It was quite natural. The most difficult thing was adopting the laptop lifestyle because I'd been deploying all over the world, and then suddenly I'm sitting at home, and I hadn't been home for a long time. After about 6 months, my wife's like, "You've been home for a long time. What's going on?" I'm like, "Well, this is my new life now." I think the biggest learning point overall, and the biggest thing I had to work on transitioning, was how I approached people, how my people leadership had to evolve from a very order-oriented society where you can give orders as a senior sergeant and they'll be followed because you're a sergeant, to needing to gain trust, approval, buy-in from team members, and just be able to do that real team leadership versus managing by edict. And so it was really healthy for me to go through that whole process.
I understand that you work with a lot of people. What are some of the ways that you manage group conflicts? What are some possible ways to decrease or minimize or none at all?
Oh, I love a good conflict. Yes, I do now. I didn't always. I think the biggest thing to understand is that when conflict occurs, it's usually because of a lack of understanding. Um, People will hear a task or they'll hear what they're supposed to do and they don't really understand why, or they don't see the broader vision. So being clear about the why ahead of time. If you're going to be assigning your team members to do something that might be out of norm or seem like, why are we doing this now? Taking even 30 seconds to cast the vision so they can see the end state, it provides more of that motive. Now they know why they're doing something. They see why you made this decision or that decision. You can explain it just by taking a couple of minutes. And I use like Loom. I use it all the time now to communicate my vision to my team members. So I think the biggest thing is like getting in front of those conflicts by just being more open about what you want and why you want it. When conflicts naturally will arise no matter what, that's inevitable. I just think get off Slack, get off these text-based things and get face-to-face with people and just shut up and ask questions and let them talk. You'll be amazed how much conflict decreases just by giving someone 5 minutes to get whatever is on their chest off of it. Because 9 times out of 10, it's not even you they're pissed off about. It's something else, and you just happen to catch the brunt of it. Give them an open forum, let them speak, and ask questions. And almost every time you come to a good solution just by doing those 2 simple things.
I understand that you are a visionary. What idea, what inspiration made you want to implement this new system that helped Musical You create this enormous growth?
Well, it wasn't without help. I'll tell you that much. I say the thing that inspired me, because you have to have those inspirational moments. It was the impact we were having in the world. When we were scaling was right after the world decided to go crazy and shut down. We all remember the glorious time period back in March of 2020, and people needed music. They needed it for their sanity. They needed it for their well-being. And so like being part of that and seeing our numbers go up from 100 new students a week to 1,000 new students a week and knowing the impact we're having in the world, man, that's all the motivation I needed. But as far as the vision, it came from really looking at what others were doing, what they were doing that was working and what they were doing that wasn't working. So I'm a student forever. So I continuously look at what other companies are doing, ask those hard questions, try to see what will ultimately work in my business, and then work with coaches and consultants that have been there before, that have done that have the t-shirt, and finding what works for me.
Wow, unique story indeed. And could you tell us how the system work on a day-to-day operation?
Yeah. So the benefit of using an operating system is that you get to do split leadership on your team. So big picture, the entrepreneur provides the visionary leadership, the motivation, and vision and motivation last for about 2 hours before your team hits their first problem. This is where the operator comes in, that second in command and that second layer of leadership, the emotional leadership, really providing that support that your team needs to get through it. Ultimately, what it looks like at a tactical level is everything is documented. Everything from your simplest task to your meetings cadence to your review schedule and your weekly calls with your team. Everything is documented inside a project management system. It's visible to all, nothing is hidden, and it's all super radically transparent. When you are operating from that function and everyone can see everything that's going on within the company, then you have the flexibility to move things. You have the transparency to let people see what else is going on. And it means you're all operating from what I call the common operational framework. You're all operating from the same plan. You just might have a different page in the plan. When you do that and everyone starts working on that same page, it means you can make changes radically and ultimately like move things around in the company. On a day-to-day basis, it means that a team member logs in and they know exactly what is expected of them because it's programmed into the operating system. They do not have to second guess. You're setting them up for success each step of the way.
Wow. So everybody is very pay attention to details. They almost have to journal every day and they put it into this big whiteboard thing. And everybody on the next day can look through it like a clear glass almost.
Well, that's my job ultimately as the operator is to provide that vision, to be able to have that whiteboard that's ever evolving every day. And their part of it is clearly visible through their daily task. So they get the vision and then they can go about their daily work. But the important thing is that they log in and within 35 seconds, they know what they're doing that day. There's no second guessing.
When someone new is scaling their business, would you say lack of clarity is one of the obstacles that is preventing them from growing?
I think they're very clear about the things they're very clear about. I think it's usually like a lack of aperture, if that makes sense. So they're very focused in on what they're doing, but they're not always seeing what's to the left and to the right of them. So I think it's mostly about scope and how they're seeing the rest of the company. By operating a very transparent organization, you get to see everything that's going on and ultimately just have that greater vision, even if it's just taking 10 minutes to look through what everyone else is doing, it gives you that broader understanding. When first starting out, honestly, it's the very simple process of documenting what you do, documenting your SOPs and your processes so that they can be replicable, they can be offloaded, and you're not leaving things to chance. Even something as simple as recording and publishing a podcast. You know as well as I do that this is a step-by-step process and you have to do this and then you have to do that and then this and that. It all comes in the same order every single time. And for me, like I have my own podcast as well. I have a podcast project. And every time I schedule a new episode, I duplicate the task, I rename it, and it's the same process every single time.
Wow. Would you say this system could be implemented to a restaurant, to a small business, like to a service industry? Would that be effective?
Definitely. Yeah. I didn't learn all of this system myself. I've consulted with other people. I've taken coaching, and I know for a fact that this type of system or variations of it, this is the same kind of system Alex Hermosi uses, to be totally honest. This is how Hermosi has scaled his business, how acquisition.com works. Not to say I'm affiliated with Alex in any way. I'm not, but I know for a fact that this is the same system he uses.
And a question I missed in the beginning, when you applied for the director of operation position, what makes your CV stand out? How can you, for a starter, like someone new approaching this corporate business world, how can they make their CV stand out?
Ooh. For corporate, man, I don't know about corporate. I know about the entrepreneurial lifestyle. I don't work in corporate. I'll never work in corporate again. I can say if you're looking to appeal to someone like me, someone who is entrepreneurially minded, it's been a long day. I've been doing a lot of talking. What I look for the most, it's a key phrase that I've never heard anyone else use before, so I own it. I look for intellectual curiosity. I look for people who know that they don't know everything, who are actively pursuing new information, who are open to receiving and sharing new information. And when I get on that first interview with them and I lay out a topic and we can nerd out for 5-10 minutes talking about the big picture and our various ideas and things that pop up, you had me at hello. So being curious and just being open to new ideas, that's what I look for the most when I'm hiring. When I go through that process, like on your CV, I don't know how to do it at the CV level. I don't do many CVs. I focus more on doing a culture fit interview and being able to have that conversation with someone.
Just out of curiosity, are you going to throw one of these questions? What are you going to do with an elephant if someone gave it to you? Like these type of questions, would you throw it out at your interviewee?
Like a big question? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll come in. I usually come into the interview with some of those big ideas like already in my back pocket. I know some of the things I'm going to ask about. Have you read about this new method that's happening? What do you think of it? What would you do if an employee came to you with these kind of problems? Like those kind of things. I tend to have a couple that are kind of pre-canned, rather than leave it to chance when I'm actually in the interview. Because, let's be honest, you got to be prepared for the interview. And as the person doing the interview, it's really my job to have those things like in my pocket.
Wow. I like that. I like that approach. What are some of your tips or tricks when recruiting talents?
You must fit culturally. Like it has to be someone that you're going to be able to stand in the room with for more than 10 minutes without driving each other crazy. Doesn't matter how good someone's resume is, if you can feel any kind of tension, it's not going to work. And we can usually feel that even in this Zoom kind of environment. We know if someone's going to be a good fit to work alongside of us. So before you even get into qualifications and get into trial tasks, have a conversation with someone. The second is really understand their personality, understand their DISC profile. If you're not assessing people on DISC during the pre-interview process, you are doing yourself a disservice, because those are the innate qualities. They can't fake it. There's no way to fake the DISC assessment unless you're really good and you know the right answers to get what you want. But I found that myself as a really high D, it's my personality, which is like 2 to 3% of the population is super high Ds like me. There are certain personalities I can work with in certain roles. It's not that I can't work with high Is or I can't work with high S's. It's just the position that I'm hiring for. So I work with a lot of high Is. Would I ever want one to be my second in command that works alongside me every day? No, they drive me crazy. And I would drive them crazy too, to be honest. They wouldn't like me either. But if I need someone who's super creative and can make something that's going to blow my socks off, I want a high every day of the week because they're so good at what they do. They just can't work alongside someone like me, not in a day-to-day. We'll drive each other crazy. So just understanding yourself, your own personality, and how other personalities correspond to you.
Wonderful. I think that's a wonderful key takeaway. Understanding yourself and understanding others. You have to gel well with people. Thank you so much, Adam. It is an honor to have you as a guest. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Jerry. It's been an absolute pleasure and look forward to seeing you next time.